Hello guys, how's everybody doing today? This video is going to be a bit different than some of the typical stuff, although I haven't quite found my footing yet, but this one is just going to be some random thoughts I have that you can listen to and fall asleep to. And this is not AI. Yeah, there's a lot of those history, think before you sleep channels. All of those are virtually AI if you can look into some of the processes that they use to make it. But all of those voices, they're all fake. All the graphics they use, they're all AI generated. Even the scripts are AI generated, and some of the scripts are hilariously bad because if you actually listen to what they're saying instead of just having it in the background, they say some of the most ridiculous things. They say you wake up as a medieval peasant in a mud hut. Which medieval peasant lived in a mud hut? You're talking about like the 15th, 13th, 12th centuries, maybe even a little later than that. People did not live in mud huts. So it's clear that a lot of the stuff that the AI is feeding out is just complete BS, and these channels they don't even bother checking because they pump out like a 2 hour video literally every other day, um, because it takes them maybe like 3 to 4 hours to make like a singular video of these AI think before you sleep channels. And what ends up happening is people legitimately believe that these channels are real. If you look at the comment sections, you have a lot of people who think these channels are real, as if like what they're saying is even remotely true. A lot of what is being said is not even remotely true. It's just like this very stupid perspective stuff with like these very, very extreme descriptions, and a lot of it is just absolutely not true at all. And the way that it works is like you use ChatGPT and I think Leo and then 11 Labs to make the voice. You use ChatGPT to get you the script or part of the script, Leo to prompt the script. And then you just stick that all together and it will literally make a video. You add over some AI animations for like 20 to 30 minutes. And then the rest of the video, there's no animation because you assume everyone's already sleeping. So what ends up happening is you just get like this completely gargantuan 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour long thing of just a bunch of misinformation, excessive description, and like the most stupid history you could think of because none of it is even remotely true a lot of the time. Like medieval peasants did not live in like mud huts, and a lot of what's even being described isn't even what you would want to learn from history. It's like these very generic descriptors of what life might have been like, but none of it is really based on anything. Maybe some sources, maybe a lot of it is true, maybe some of it isn't. But point is the fact that it's all like AI generated with zero understanding of what's even being said is kind of fucked up in a way because there's a lot of really good history channels on YouTube, but a lot of those things before they sleep, they're all garbage for the most part, and the fact that they are as popular as they are is fairly disappointing. But in other news, some of the other things I want to talk about today were the politicians of today. They're all hypocrites. They're all bad. Did I cover my politics sections? Okay, cool. Now back to AI. So AI is definitely in a bubble, but it's interesting to see how people are trying to make money from it. There are way too many AI tools. No one really knows how to use all of them, and the people that do know how to use them are saying that they're not as helpful as people claim they are. Or if they are, they work for one of these AI companies. You'll be hard pressed to find someone who can fully utilize AI and says it's as useful as people claim it will be. It will more than likely still be a multi-billion-dollar industry. It will still create a lot of new billionaires, a lot of jobs, but it'll also take away a lot of jobs too. But until then, what's probably going to happen is you're going to see a complete collapse of the AI industry as people realize most AIs aren't going to make it. It's a very Darwinian field where only the best AI will survive. You can't have it where there's 3 or 4 or 10 open AIs. There can only really be one AI that's AIG that will beat out all the other models and will pretty much dominate in its respective field. Maybe you could have specialized AIs that do just fine, but I think it's a winner takes all type of situation. And because investors don't know who the winner is, they're just saying, hey, we got money, we can spray and pray. We don't care if we see, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80% losses as long as we have like a chunk. It could be a 5% chunk, it could be a 3% chunk. As long as we have that 3 to 5% chunk of the next winner, that next winner could be worth trillion, 3, 4, $5 trillion. So we don't care right now if we lose billions of dollars. If that 3 to 5 percent in the future is going to be worth, $100 billion, 200 billion. Yeah, we don't care if we burn a few $1 billion today and it takes 5 to 10 years. We don't care. That's worth it to us. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that is the AI game right now. That's why a lot of companies that shouldn't be getting funding are getting funding. Namely, like the Cluey CEO, who's just a complete idiot. The guy claims he got kicked out of Harvard because he made, like, he left on a trip and he got arrested, which didn't even make sense. Like, he left unauthorized that night during like some sort of a trip, but it turned out the reason he got kicked out was because he was ranking girls, and not just ranking girls, but ranking them from S to ungrapeable, fill in the blank. And then invited those girls on stream, the ugly ones he considered, to say like, oh, you guys are ungrapeable basically, and that's why he was kicked out of Harvard. And he never talks about it, and he's extremely weird. When you look at his interviews, he's trying really hard to be cool, but he just comes across as being extremely dumb and douchey, and also very insecure, because all he talks about is in his interviews is he talks about girls, which is really weird for a CEO of an AI company. Why is the main thing you're talking about girls? Like, he's talking about his interviews like, man, if you're a man, you should go back tonight. You should go back to sleep with the woman by your side if you're gonna work all day. And it's like, okay, maybe that's true, but why is this like 99% of the content you put out from your position as CEO of Cluey, which isn't even really an AI company technically? It's an AI wrapper, which what that means is it doesn't have its own homemade AI. It outsources the actual AI to a different one. I believe they use ChatGPT, which is kind of funny if you think about it. The guy is trying to be an AI CEO and he doesn't even have his own AI. Now, GPT wrapper and AI wrapper can still be a useful company. It's not like it's completely only using ChatGPT and ChatGPT has those functions built in. They don't. It's much more akin to like a plugin. So think of it like someone claiming that they're a programming language CEO, but then you learn that they just own like a library and Python is really the programming language behind it. Something like that. So it's interesting to see that guy. I don't think he'll survive the AI bubble, and probably for good. He doesn't seem like he's a very honest individual. He seems like he's a bit of a, yeah, he just seems like he's just not a very honest individual at all. He thinks he's way too cool, and then he gets surprised when women don't care that he has a lot of money, because why would they? Why would a woman care if you have a lot of money if you're this big of a loser like the Cluey CEO? I don't know. And he doesn't even have that much money if you really think about it. You might think, oh man, 100 million, $150 million, which is what his company's valued at. That's a lot. But if you think about who's in those circles, like these tech circles, these startup circles, that's worthwhile, don't get me wrong, but it's not unprecedented. It's not unheard of. You could find a few dozen guys who have that kind of company and evaluation, who are completely unknown, who rock companies that are worth 100 million, 300 million plus. You might not have never even heard of them. They have $1 billion company. So it's not like he's at the top or anything. He's successful at a young age, sure, but he probably wouldn't survive a dot com down. Sorry, not a dot com bubble, an AI bubble, because, well, he doesn't actually have an AI of his own, and he doesn't provide any value as a CEO. Like, he's not talented. He's done nothing but create an AI that can be used to like cheat in interviews, which just does an undetectable overlay on your screen, and that undetectable overlay on your screen basically just gives you the answers to whatever's on your screen. So you're doing an interview, boom, you got your answers. You're doing a test, you're cheating, boom, you got your answers. And the CEO is like an insult. It's really funny. And then he just throws a temper tantrum because he got blacklisted from every single tech job. So a lot of it, if you look at him, there's a lot of salt that's in his interviews. He talks about how cool he is, like, oh man, I need to work all day, and how awesome he thinks he is. But he's also really salty because he's basically barred from working in any tech company ever, because none of the tech companies want to work with the guy that helps interviewees cheat on their interviews. The technical interviews can be cheated on now. You have no idea who you're hiring, if they're good or not, and that pisses off a lot of tech companies. So in effect, he kind of barred himself from the tech industry. That being said, he still gets money from um, Anderson Horowitz, which is, a gambling firm. It's not really a VC firm. It's much more of a gambling firm. They are successful, but what they do is not investing. What they do is gambling, which, to be fair, is 99% of a venture capital. Some of it, that 1%, is guys who actually know what they're doing. Clearly not the guys at Anderson Horowitz. They just invest in whatever they want to invest in. But so he didn't have that investment from them, which doesn't mean anything. It's if anything, it's kind of a black mark because it's hard to be taken seriously. Getting money from like a Sequoia would be much more impressive. A Sequoia fund, or maybe like a Kleiner Perkins. Those guys are much older and much more legitimate in terms of the companies that they lead to success, as opposed to these people who kind of just suck. Like he kind of just sucks as a person if you think about him. He is just this Harvard kid, lies about why he got kicked out, doesn't have his own AI, kind of lies about it. It's like, and this company got $100+ million just because they have a functional wrapper. That's very concerning because if you fundamentally think about it, like if a Harvard kid could build this, he doesn't have any like real experience. If you think about it, just because he went to Harvard doesn't mean you have AI experience that takes years, if not decades, to learn. If you can't be an AI creator or researcher without having effectively at least a PhD, maybe masters in some instances. But point is, it takes years to learn how to make an AI, how to work in AI. Sure, you can make a rapper, which is what this guy did, but I'm not convinced that he's talented, and I'm not convinced that he has any sort of success outside of convincing the degenerate gamblers at Horowitz that he should get a little bit of money. So that's kind of the state of the AI world. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna end up. We have fake history channels. We have a lot of other stuff too. I think there were some channels now is like the language of insecurity, and I think it's almost certainly AI. Anytime you see a channel where it's like this very long, drawn out, extremely descriptive topic with AI images, with images that are very similar to one another, a voice which sounds very stable in its cadence, like the cadence does not change, it does not feel as if they're making any mistakes. That's because it's an AI voice, and an AI voice doesn't make human mistakes. They don't have like irregular pauses. They don't make variances in cadence, variances in tone. They just kind of always sound very similar cadence, very similar tone. It still sounds human, don't get me wrong, but you could tell that it's like very perfectly well rehearsed because it's an AI. And it's gonna hurt YouTube a lot. I've seen like 15 channels or 20 channels pop up like that. It doesn't even take a lot of money. You could probably make a channel like that under 1,000. And I think the top channel was making something like 400K a month or 40K a month. Sorry, 400 a year, 40K a month. So there's a huge reward if it does work out. I just don't think it'll work out for most people. But yeah, that's I think the rant for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys want to see next time.